Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the HGC Western Clash 2017. It is time now for our second semi-final in the upper bracket. Now, these two teams, they are synonymous with Heroes of the Storm, having been involved from the very beginning. They both have 6-1 records in their respective regions, and they both came through yesterday with 2-0 very dominating performances. But that's where the similarities end. One is from North America, and one is from Europe. Our first team onto the stage have tasted victory in more tournaments than many, and last year pulled off the surprise of all surprises by beating a Korean team at BlizzCon. They are, of course, the one and only Fnatic. Please welcome to the stage, Fnatic. Very good, we like that. And their opponents in the semi-final are the last remaining survivors from the upper bracket. For North America, it is a true North America versus Europe battle once again, as the team who are last left standing in an upper bracket from North America. They are 6-1 in their regular season right now, but here to prove that they have what it takes. They are Tempo Storm.
You know, the last remaining team of North America, but honestly, in the eyes of many, the best option here, the best hope for NA to take that victory or even make it just to the grand finals. Tempo Storm, Gillyweed, what are your thoughts on this team's chances here?
Man, Tempo Storm, it's going to be a rough one. They've never played versus Fnatic before in a tournament setting, and Fnatic looked very impressive, but there were points that they could, Tempo could punish potentially, things like Fnatic overstaying sometimes. So maybe that's what we'll see Tempo be able to do.
Jaeho, in terms of the metas colliding here, I mean, Fnatic, they're pretty scary. They're a team that in BlizzCon, as Paul mentioned, they did end up going over the Koreans, but they're a team that just tends to thrive in a series. Best of 5, they evolve. They evolve better than almost any other team, period.
They're one of the few teams that have defined their own meta. They've gone out of their way to create ways to make their opponents uncomfortable and find ways to manipulate that. You know, we've talked about it. They said that in their region, they are able to play it so much, they're not afraid of using it again, that their opponents learn from them. But they are not afraid to bust out anything new against the North American opponents. So we'll see if they've got any quirks to their new meta. But again, they are pioneers in their own right. And we're going to see if Tempo Storm can deal with that.
I mean, Dred, give me the real talk. What are your straight-up expectations of this series?
At best, 3-1 in favor of Fnatic. I think Tempo Storm, if they are going to be able to take this series, they are going to have to not only play better than maybe they ever have in their past, but more importantly, I think beyond anything else, is show adjustments not only in the draft. I think more importantly, when things are bad in the game and things are working out, they have to figure out what and why and how to turn that around. And I think like a good way to kind of explain that would be, you know, even looking at the Dignitas series that we just watched on Towers of Doom, the adjustments in the middle game, Tempo, they have to make those kind of plays. They have to learn in the middle of a game how to turn the tides. And we'll see if they have those tools. Either way, see the bans. Pick is going to be Towers of Doom that we're going to for Tempo Storm.
Has Warhead Junction ever been non-banned in this competition?
That is a good question. Off the top of my head, I don't know that stat, but I'm going to say it's very, very likely.
Yeah, I mean, but Towers of Doom, Gillyweed, how you feeling here?
Towers of Doom is great for Tempo Storm. One of the things that stood out to me for this match is Tempo and Fnatic actually have a lot of similarities in a lot of their primary heroes that they like, things like Falstad, Malfurion, some of their most played, ETC. But then also, as well, a lot of their favorite battlegrounds, Cursed Hollow, Towers of Doom, Tomb even. So that bodes well for Tempo.
You know, one thing I really want to look at here is some of the tournament stats between two of the top players of these teams. We've got Schwimpy versus Koth and Luck to see how they stand. Again, this is specifically for the Western Clash, not the season.
Yeah, and so already looking at these stats, I mean, it's amazing the fact that neither of them have even died really in this tournament whatsoever, but the kill participation there for both is actually pretty similar to one another. So, I mean, you know, Cawthon obviously pulling ahead a little bit when it comes to the takedowns overall, but these two guys just very much playing on point.
Yeah, both of these teams were able to have 2-0 victories over their opponents in their primary series. So, whereas Misfits and Dignitas both did drop one game to their opponents in the first match, these two are coming in undefeated.
They both play a lot of the globals too, Jay Howe. I mean, looking at Towers of Doom, globals are a big part of that story.
It's a big part of the story, I think, for both these teams, and it will be a priority throughout. We've seen a lot of Dahaka for Wubby lately. It's something we talked to him specifically about, is how this meta is fitting his hero pool specifically and how he's been able to adapt. And then we already talked about Quacknix and Falstad. They go hand in hand a lot of times, but their team is so diverse in their hero picks that you never know what's going to happen, but you can see a high priority, I think, between Dahaka and Falstad for sure on this battleground.
Yeah, I mean, Falstad, the most played hero for both Koth and Luck and Quack. And I mean, does that change the dynamic of the bans? Because typically, you know, you see the Tassadar. Some teams will opt to focus on the supports because they see more preference there. And obviously with Dignitas, that was not the case. I mean, those supports are just way too flexible.
I think it could a little bit when it comes to the bans. I think if it adjusts anything consistently, it would be the priority in which Falstad is picked. He may rise from like a 2-3 slot if your first pick to just absolute first pick. But that being banned, I don't see that being that big of a power play unless Dahaka is going to be a big power play. Like they're going to move in directly. They ban out the Falstad, they move into the Dahaka, and that seems far more Fnatic-esque than it does North American Tempo Storm.
But beyond the Falstad, are there any weird bans that you might expect to see in this series?
Ooh, that's got to be a tough one.
What about Zeratul?
I don't know if it'd be that weird, but yeah, I think Zeratul on the side of Fnatic, I can see fear of, you know, Psalm Zeratul. North America obviously has put more priority into that hero than pretty much, well, definitely Europe, and not so much all over the world. But TAS is going to be the first ban.
That's a very TAS or a Fnatic-esque ban before. It was really interesting to see Fnatic come into this tournament and not prioritize banning him as much in their first series, but this is way more what I was coming to expect from them.
Ban Dahaka, first pick Falstad. In 5 games that they've played on Towers of Doom, 3 times they've picked Zeratul, has Tempo Storm. The other 2 times, the other team picked it. So it's actually been a 100% involvement rate in the Tempo Storm games on Towers of Doom, and they are picking it up here early.
I think maybe they were forcing that, sort of baiting it a little bit so that Fnatic would get Falstad, but that would guarantee Tempo to get Zeratul as well as Malfurion here.
Yeah, I mean, that entire beginning was absolutely calculated. I think both teams knew up until this point what the first 5 were going to be. The question is, you know, I think right now, what is Fnatic going to make here in the next 2 picks here? What is going to be, you know, be able to turn this, because we have such a powerful and comfortable duo on the side of Tempo so far.
You know, we've seen a fair bit of Zeratul paired with Muradin. Obviously with Dignitas, we saw the Abathur in play as well. Considering the globals are a very powerful tool here for this battleground in particular, do you see there's any chance of Tempo trying to bust out the Abathur as something new for them? Because we do not see a lot of it.
I'm going to say no. It just doesn't fit their playstyle very, very well. I would like to see it. I think it's a, you know, an awesome strategy, but it just doesn't really play into their strengths that well.
Knew Fnatic was going to get Brightwing. They, in general, follow the European standard of Malfurion first and then Rhaegar second, sometimes even ahead in certain battlegrounds and compositions. But here on Towers of Doom, they love having Brightwing. They are not at all concerned with having even necessarily Tassadar along with the Brightwing. So very comfortable, and that is Smexy Classic. He's been playing Brightwing for a really long time.
It seems like they're trying to take control of Assassins, and one of the things that we see a lot of Tempo Storm, not only the Johanna pickup that we talked about yesterday, which could be coming in, but also Li Ming is a priority, and it's also a hero that we see Schwimpy play a lot. So the battle over that, for that backline, could be something that they try and focus on as far as Tempo Storm goes during the next rotation.
Yeah, especially pairing it with Zeratul. Like, Zeratul Malfurion is probably like the dream Li Ming initiation, just because, again, she, not only with the isolations, but she pretty much primes for a perfect reset the minute that it drops with Twilight Dream stacked on top. Fnatic, though, is hovering over this Abathur. Whether it be just absolute fear of the strategy overall, or maybe something that we, you know, scrims behind the scenes, Tempo Storm's kind of making some changes. It is going to be removed here. Again, the Li Ming is now going to be up. I thought maybe that'd be an ETC ban to try and take that away from Tempo. That being said, it's not like it's that high of a priority for Tempo Storm in the past.
Especially on towers.
Exactly.
They like the Johanna.
Yeah, it just seems like, you know, with the double global, removing the very last option, if that's what they were afraid of, might be where they go. But instead, it is Fear of the Abbey.
I really wonder right now for Tempo Storm. Obviously, I think Li Ming could be a priority here. You run in the risk of, and it's almost crazy to say this, but you run the risk of maybe giving up a Chromie if you try and take too much away. And do you know how to play against it? They go Li Ming, they go Murden as opposed to Johanna, which they've played 5 of the last 6 games on Towers of Doom.
Yeah.
Going with a little bit stronger frontline control with Varian up there.
And just a fun fact for you guys, Fury has not played Murden yet in the pro season of HGC, which is crazy. Now, Murden's obviously a powerhouse. Fury likes the Johanna, as you mentioned, but we've seen this trend all day long with Zeratul, Murden for that power diving in.
That's so crazy to see them make that adjustment, especially since he had a ton of success with Johanna even as early as yesterday, or as late as yesterday. His condemns to be able to stop the mosh pit was insane. I told him, I was talking to him on the shuttle on the way here, I was like, I don't often say this, but your Johanna plays were insane yesterday. He was like, I saved my whole team. He was very proud.
Is Ragnaros to pick up here for what?
That's what I was thinking, and I was trying to figure out if that happens, how does that play into the double global effect of just Molten Core, buy time, double soak? Like, it does seem like it's going to be that, but I can also see them venturing outward, not playing as straightforward. There's going to be a Chromie, and in fact, the Anubarak there to be able to deal with the mage damage on the side of Tempo. So Tempo now has to move into something with auto attacks to be able to, you know, have the damage output.
Did you see that Fury smirk right before this?
Or the Asmodan.
So
That's the same, right?
Yeah, that's auto attack damage.
we don't see a lot of Asmoden anymore, but one powerful combo we've seen in the past is the Globe of Annihilation farmed up with Zeratul to help secure the kill. It's a lot of burst damage.
It's kind of a testament to being up against Fnatic. Fnatic were ones who would occasionally pick this Asmodan as a way of just sieging, even along with Li Ming. Sometimes they would pick it, and it's these very long-range siege. And in the instance of Towers of Doom, you will help be able to stall out the tribute being picked up as well as push lanes. But it's crazy to see this Chromie, very long-range hero up against now Asmodan.
I'm really scared for that Asmodan pick because, like, the number 1 and 2 ways that you move the Asmodan is you either go with the heavy siege and kind of, you know, forcing somebody to respond to you in a specific lane, but you're looking into a double global. You aren't going to be able to make that happen. So then you go into the team fighting. Well, maybe you get a couple stacks. Asmodan can be very influential, but it's all going to be in magic damage, which Anubarak is going to be able to thrive in that scenario pretty effectively. So it just... I like the idea of the innovation. This is awesome to see Tempo moving out of their comfort a little bit, but it feels like that Anubarak pick might have been the proper response with that coming in.
So you feel this Asmo is fully premeditated, not like, let's try to make this work. This is a tried and true strat for them as far as they're concerned?
I mean, it has to be. Like, for Tempo to be out of the box automatically means that they've already tried. This is their go-to. They don't fluctuate outside of what they know.
Yeah.
They do not risk that. They don't go, we've never played this before, let's give it a shot. This is we've practiced it, we think that this is the answer. And so much so that even if they saw a new Barak come in and they were like, we shouldn't pick a mage, it might be they haven't even practiced any other hero to replace the Asmodan.
All right, well, we are ready for game number 1 of this best of 5 series. Take it away, Trixler and Grubby.
Asmodan versus Chromie. Grubby, we have some poke wars on hand for us. Grubby, please do me a favor. Introduce our left team here.
Yeah, I'm excited anytime we've got an Asmodan coming out. It's going to be Fnatic here on the left, though. In the blue, it's going to be Schwimpy, of course, Breeze, Wooby, Smexy. And they're going to be representing, and Quacknix, of course, they're going to be representing Fnatic here in the blue. On the right side, in the red, it's Tempo Storm, Cattle, June. We've got Koth and Locke, Fury, and Psalm. Psalm going to be the playmaker here with his Zeratul.
Yeah, going to be exciting to watch that. I'm very excited for Cattle here with Asmodan. Asmodan is actually one of my favorites against Chromie because of the poke wars that happen. He has an easier time of hitting multiple members, but also doing an easier job of hitting Chromie because of the big range of his Globe of Annihilation. After finishing Sieging Wrath, he can just poke like crazy. So I'm excited to see how this will break out for our teams. 5v5 right in the middle, and this is going to be the story of the game. Watching Asmodan throw out Qs, Chromie trying to hit people as well, just back and forth. Who says there's no poking in Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, and I mean, would you say it kind of helps that Azmodan has triple her health pool virtually?
Yeah, he's a big guy. he's definitely got some weight there that gives him a little bit more health here. So you're going to watch these constant pokes. Also, the range is slightly longer than Chromie's as well. So Tempo Storm feeling like they're going to go head-to-head against this Chromie that is currently a 100% win ratio for Fnatic in the HGC.
Yeah, I think they're at 7-0 right now. Teams have tried to bait out Chromie picks by going things that are weak against it, thinking that somehow they can beat Fnatic's Chromie anyway. There have been teams that wanted to feel that effect and have nonetheless fallen to it. Fnatic, they started playing it. They've always wanted to try out Chromie, they said.
Yeah.
But have never been allowed to do so by their drafter in Quacknix. And finally, Schwimpy's might has been unleashed. And here we are with the Chromie. Now, specialists like Azmodan, they form an interesting part here on maps like Towers of Doom. Bell towers, when you take them down, they come back here. Oh, Fury actually gets chunked down.
No way.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Fury barely walking away there. That's one of the major problems with dealing with the tank when you do run a mage, is you have to have some auto attacks to finish off those heroes. The tanks, and Nubrak in particular, don't bring it in. But regardless, back to your point.
Well, you know, I guess it doesn't matter too much. We'll see later the late game power of a hero like Azmodan who has the pushing. But one thing about this is you don't need to kill a hero to virtually get the same effect as killing him. Muradin may not have gone down, but we did earn a Goblin Sapper camp there on the side of Fnatic because they were in fighting form. Tempo Storm was not. So they're going to be able to have that.
Big chunk there from Chthon. Moving in on Quacknix. Mexi will finally grab the altar in the bottom. Zeratul applied pressure to Wubby in the top left, while the other altar has been left alone in the top right for Tempo Storm. They've elected to build up an army in the middle lane to make Falstad come deal with this situation, and then from here they can get the rotations they would like. However, they are still not moving towards altars.
Yeah, I have to question kind of the wisdom of trying to steal Fnatic's altar and giving away their own till now.
I think the idea for Tempo Storm here is
building up stacks.
Yes, they have both forever for cattle. This finish seizing Wrath. But I think they want to get pressure on the bottom, get a bell tower early, which makes Falstad come defend it because Falstad's the main auto attacker for Fnatic, and that gives the ability for Azmodan to put General Hell into different lanes and pressure down other lanes and get them lower. So the idea is we get so much map control early, we're good to go, and we can slow down this altar phase for a long duration by just poking it.
Trickster, do you mean that they're leaving up this altar as a honeypot? They want to make sure that several members are attributed to it?
They have made Fnatic the Pooh Bear, the Winnie the Pooh of Heroes of the Storm right here. Please come get this honeypot. However, Fnatic hasn't really bitten. They put 4 people on the bottom. They've identified this strategy of getting mercenary camps in the bottom and applying pressure, and they just send a Nubrak over it. Nubrak gets poked, but he's just basically there to check to make sure no one's channeling.
This is pretty sick. Fnatic sees what Tempo is doing and are deciding to let them get away with it. They're not saying like, oh, there's something for the taking. Let's try and take it with all hands on deck. No, they attribute this Nubrak to it. He still gets his experience. He does his, his day job of getting the minions. That's about it. No further investment.
Yeah, this is looking more and more like a split push build here from Azmodan as well. He got Army of Hell at level 4, which increases damage of the minions that he spawns, but also reduces the mana cost. So you kind of spam down those minions one way. So eventually Azmodan could move to a scenario where he's just middle, pushing it in, and then dropping a General Hell in the top or the bottom lane based on where the opponents are at, and setting himself up to consistently get towers weaker for later on.
This is a pretty key talent here, Trixler. He went for Infernal Globe, not for Bound Minion. That means that he is going to be more teamfight oriented. It increases the travel time of the Orb of Annihilation and makes it far more accurate in teamfight. So he is going to be a damage dealer in addition to having that General of Hell split push pressure.
Well, Fnatic doing what they are good at doing, putting pressure in different lanes here. They have Varian set up with Schwimpy so they can get the follow-up there from the Dragon's Breath and, of course, the Sandblast, doing their best to apply damage when possible. But, again, just slowing down any strategy for Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm has a scouting drone here in the bottom right, just watching out for any invade that could occur. Normally, when a Varian or a double tank composition is available for the opposing team, they will invade often. So scouting drone, very important.
Tempo Storm is holding their own so far against Fnatic, and they've done well in their region. People don't talk as much about Tempo Storm as they do about Gale Force. Hold that thought, if Fury gets attacked. There we go with that level 10, at level 8 already by Chromie. He gets the combo with Temporal Loop to confirm the kill on Muradin.
And another poke here on June. He gets body blocked by Wubby as Wubby goes for the dive. Breeze up here as well. And now they get the invade no matter if there is a scouting drone there, as 2 members have fallen. Back to your point, yes, Tempo Storm doesn't really get the recognition that many would assume they would get with how statistically great they are. They're a wonderful team. They secure victories, and they're holding their own in the North American League. The problem is they're not very flashy. They're not a team that really kind of shows up and shows their skill. Psalm getting picked up in the very top. It's kind of interesting. You look at Tempo Storm and you get a sense of, do you guys believe in us? Do you think we can win games? And some people can if you look at the numbers, but we need to see decisive wins from them. Right now, it's not looking too good, but they've brought out Asmodan and they can bring that flash. What else would you like to see from Tempo Storm?
I mean, at this point, I think, you know, the team is there, the members are there, the skill is there. What they need is some big wins to convince people to put them on the world map as a worthy challenger. Their stratagem of delaying their own bell tower here, the capture of that altar, has not really paid off. Not only did they lose that fort first, which was a result of that early level 10 talent pick by Chromie. She gets her heroic at level 8, which led to 2 kills as Jun tried to save Fury, which led to the loss of the tower. And finally, this strategy of delaying the capture of their own altar really didn't pay off. But what Tempo Storm needs here is a big win. Even a map or 2 out of Fnatic here in this series would really help, I think, to give them confidence and to give people confidence in them.
Yeah, would really cement them as some of the top teams in the world. Now 11-10 here. Tempo Storm finally getting that big heroic power strike. Psalm coming in from the left side. Void Prison available, looking for a potential fight as Brightwing and Falstad are currently at the very top grabbing mercenaries. Will Wubby or Chromie be picked off? There's some poke.
This is a 4 versus 2. In theory, with a hero like Zeratul, you can initiate, you can capture Chromie. Stormbolt misses, that's a pretty big deal. In comes Brightwing suddenly. Now it's not a 4v3 anymore, and not a 4v2. There's a fort there also.
Yeah, unfortunate. Tempo Storm was just unaware of where Falstad and Brightwing was. They were doing a really good job of masking that, and so they didn't get the gauge. When the mercenary camps were finally grabbed, Fury went for the hard engage, but she wouldn't be expecting it. Make sure to play at max range. So I'm going in for the hard harass. Polymorph does come out. There's
That's
the
a timeout.
timeout.
It's a 7-second ability. He's also caught in Void Prison. That means that he's going to be vulnerable for 10 seconds.
Oh
He's dodging all the damages. Everyone keeps aiming their shots, but Shwimpy dodges everything. He now takes out Muradin as well, and that's 3 kills for Fnatic.
Absolutely great job there by Wubby. Shwimpy had no pressure whatsoever to come out of that timeout. He had a huge fort sitting there protecting him.
I mean, it takes 7 seconds timeout. Void Prison takes 5. He literally could have got up, done a pirouette, and sat down again, and he'll still be fine.
Using that full duration to his advantage, and Tempo Storm still having 1 member down. They're about to spawn in 19 seconds, but Altars popping up in the top right and the top left, and Fnatic is taking it for free here, grabbing the altar on the right, starting the boss even.
Fnatic is brimming with confidence in everything they do. They literally put down a Nubarak and Chromie only in a 2 versus 4, defend the quote-unquote the opponent's bell tower that they captured with Tooth and Claw with 2 against 4. I mean, that feels... It almost feels insulting. Like you stand there with a hero like Chromie, who's supposedly weak against hard engage, and you're against Muradin and Zeratul, and you get away with that? That's gotta sting for Tempo.
Yeah, Fnatic is capitalizing on the respect that Tempo Storm is giving them as a good team, realizing, okay, we're probably gonna get ganked, they're probably setting up for kills, but Fnatic is just running the battleground so well that Tempo Storm just seems at a loss at the moment. They're gonna need to put it together soon. It's 40-13 at 9 minutes into the game, Grubby, which is pretty stellar to see for Fnatic, but Tempo Storm fans, you need to start getting control of the map, and they are doing so. They got mercenary camps. They finally have good poke here as well, finally getting Black Pole on Asmodan. So with that Sieging Wrath combination, finally they can chunk down their opponents. But it's going to come down to an engage eventually from Psalm. Psalm's going to be the playmaker here for this team.
Yeah, the Zeratul Void Prison into Twilight Dream, into a nice empowered Orb of Annihilation from Asmodan is going to be key. And we know that this is probably a pre-prepared strategy for Tempo Storm, going with the Asmodan here. They must be expecting what Fnatic could be bringing out here, the Chromie plays, their general globalization playstyle here with heroes like Brightwing and Falstad. So they have prepared for the situation, but we have yet to see the exact way that their strategy is going to be working out. They have not been allowed to play their own game yet. To the credit of Fnatic, maybe Tempo Storm need to wake up a little bit here.
Well, Tempo Storm has done a good job of controlling the Mercs in the bottom, but they are taking pressure on their bell tower in the bottom right. Sadly, Asmodan can't be here to help out with the assist as he's been in the top lane trying to take back a bell tower, but with altars activating in the next 23 seconds, this is the moment for Tempo Storm to make a play. Fury is going to be taking that temporal loop, but luckily was able to get it canceled out using cleanse overall. So we got a slight pause here, but this is a pretty big moment. The poke from Asmodan's got to be on point. I would recommend making sure you set up on that bell tower on the bottom right as he can siege to both the middle and the bottom altar and delay the channeling and find a way for Psalm to get in that back line and get a pick on Chromie or Brightwing.
Yeah, that's going to be the best situation here for Tempo Storm. They're in a pretty harrowing position with a 13 to 40 HP on the core situation, but they're in the best situation yet. It's a level 14 situation against level 15. They're only a level down, not even a talent down, not counting Chromie's talent. You're always a talent down against Chromie.
She's unfair, isn't she? Well, we'll see if we can get back in here in a couple minutes, but yes, Tempo Storm, they're not out, as you're mentioning. This is Towers of Doom. This is the battleground that we see the most comebacks on. Once you get map control, and if you can stay with it and make the correct shot calls, you're always going to be in a spot where you can make that lead and come back in the game. So this is the moment where it has to happen, obviously. I think you can give up one of the altars safely if you win a team fight and take the other altar, and then grab bell towers afterwards. So an aggressive play should be coming from Tempo Storm. Fnatic should expect that and get ready, especially with Mighty Gus and Temporal Loop currently being down.
It does look like the situation is solved. The game is back here. Tempo Storm's moment could be coming here. Murden gets taunted. He survives through it for now. That's a lot of abilities used on him. This could be Tempo Storm's moment. Look for Psalm to go around and find an angle. Maybe doesn't want to go past Anubarak. He's got Burning Rage. He will reveal Zeratul immediately. Psalm looking for his moment.
Brightwing gets the channel on the bottom. As that time trap prevented Fury from getting aggressive. Also, Cattle had already used his Sieging Wrath to stop the bottom altar space, so they had no poke available for them, especially with the body blocking from Breeze on the right side. Now only one altar will remain. Tempo Storm looking to set up well. They do have a solid concave, but Wubby already popping his engage in a second here. Will be having his heroic, and Temporal Loop is available in 5 seconds.
Chromie's accuracy here, Shrimpy, he is sublime. He hits Psalm once with a Q and an auto attack and brings him to 60% life. There we go, with another hit. Foul start, foul start, the blink, heal, and cleanse will save him.
Shrimpy is going to be phase shifted onto, and they are much healthier than their opponents. Quacknix will be able to get healed up soon here, be able to fly back into the fight if he would like to. Nubrex on the right, keeping up with the pressure, and if Falstad flies in healthy, this is a scary moment. Look at Cattle. He's low on mana already. A little bit chunked on the health side too. June in the middle at the same time. Falstad will head to the middle here to deal with the pressure, but he is available. There's no major threat right now from Tempo Storm.
Shrimpy's accuracy is through the roof. Every Sans Blast is hitting its target. There we go! What?
My lung just fell out of my body. God, Swimpy destroying there. June getting taunted by Breeze. Falstad flying at the same time, and suddenly Fnatic has another altar they can take. But the thing is, with 2 members down, they don't have to do it. They can grab Mercenary Camps instead, get pressure on the bottom bell tower, and get more points.
Yep, that's what they're going to be doing. They take this bell tower, then the cannon shots will represent 5 points. Fury. No. Oh, that was close. Varian?
Superman!
So the cool thing about this is they're going to get 5 shots, which means that the boss is a win condition. The next bell tower is going to be a win condition. That's a pretty big issue here for Tempo Storm.
That it is. 5 shots going down, meaning that their core is down to 4 health currently. Mercenary Camps being grabbed, and Fnatic in full control right now, looking like they could go for a shutout here.
I mean, the fact that Shrimpy is hitting his Sandblast with that level 13 talent that he has, 14 talent in Shifting Sands, the more he hits it consecutively, the more the overall ability power of Chromie goes up. He's got the base ability power from level 1, which is a 5%, and then another 40% from full consecutive Sandblast hits. That's how he was able to chunk Zeratul from pretty much full life with just 2 abilities.
And the problem is, if they survive through this, Quagnix with the Mighty Gust trying to ensure the Mercenary Camps go through, the Void Prison comes out, Cattle setting up for some aggression, Cuthan on the right, breaking to disintegrate. There will be a big Twilight Ring from June, doesn't really do too much. It silences the 2 tanks, but they move in for an engage anyways. Fury will turn around and try to attempt the fight. Now, the good news is the Mercenary Camps were cleaned up, but yet the fight does not go the way of Tempo Storm. In fact, another engage is occurring. Fury's in trouble, Temporal Loop coming out.
Yeah, very well. Oh, Burning gets blown up. There was no cleanse available anymore. That's what Schwimpy is waiting for here. Having said that, well done by Tempo Storm to stop all the Goblin Sappers. They killed all 6 of them. No matter how many heroes they lose, that's to their credit. And that keeps them alive for now. But now we have a very nasty situation for Tempo Storm where they have to stop 5 heroes with 3. Correct me. 5 heroes with 2. As they're going for the boss. Fnatic is looking for the Hail Mary to finish it off here. 4 cannon tower shots is what this boss will fire if it is successfully captured by Fnatic.
If you need a Hail Mary, you do have the hero to do it, and that's Lane Ming. But will it be here in time? She's not even getting a chance to walk in here. Time cut set up. Anubrak goes out for the dive, and Fnatic looks to end this game. 40-0 in less than 15 minutes. Congratulations to Fnatic in this first game, walking away with the victory, and it was flawless.
They look as dominant as I thought they would be at the beginning of this tournament. Fnatic reigning supreme here in this first game. A very rough awakening call here for Tempo Storm. 40-0 Trickster. Damn.
There seems to be a reason why, if the second ban phase is available and Chromie has not been picked up and there's any possibility she could be chosen, it's banned out by the opposing team. And that's one of the reasons why. Schwimpy does not miss with that hero. He is completely accurate to a point where it seems unfair.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, I know you're an avid Chromie player. I play her from time to time. And when I miss my skill shots, I'm like, well, you know, it's not just me. The opponent is moving to dodge them, right? But actually, no matter how many they dodge, Schwimpy, he hits his shots anyway. It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's homing missiles, it would appear. Set up, he picked up a talent before level 1 that he set up on. So, wow, incredible game there. But let's go to our expert analysis to get a figure on what exactly happened in that match.
I think the simplest way to put that is Fnatic just gave Tempo an ass whooping. They really did. Just threw him on the ground and that was it. But
I was not expecting that.
yeah, Gilly, why don't you give us
that-
some actual analysis?
All right, so 2 words I have for you, and that's timeout. The minute Chromie got that at level 11, it was just like anytime Zeratul saw anybody tried to jump on her, she had timeout. She had 7 seconds for the team to either Varian charge in to be able to hit Zeratul or anybody else. They still had Gust if they really wanted to be able to completely disengage. Chromie was absolutely safe, always.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't a peace sign when they came out. It was like, yeah, we're about to go 2-0 against North America. I think that was just foreshadowing.
They're going to win so hard they don't have to go to game 3.
Okay, so let's take a minute. I get it. It's fun. It's fun. They took a risk in a comp.
Yeah.
Right? That being said, the pick priority on the side of Fnatic made it to where no matter what, Tempo obviously came in with the idea of what they wanted to run, but those last 2 picks, with having the Chromie, having the Anubarak, was a perfect counter to the Asmo. Like the Asmo was into, like, he cannot kill anyone because it's anti-mage. Like, the best odds were the fact that it was a solo support Brightwing. It might struggle on a map that's going to make it longer into the raw poke. But other than that, the Asmo only buys delay, but into a double global, that's not going to do much. The split siege isn't going to do much. So what I'm trying to say is Tempo obviously came in with an idea. They came in with a strategy they wanted to run, but the 2 picks that were soft counters to exactly what Tempo was moving into, to the point where it was just like, we either bail on our strategy completely and move into a direct auto attacker and hope that we can take team fights, which is probably unrealistic by what they gave up, or they lock in the Asmo and just hope that somehow it works out.
Well, when we look at the actual strategy, you know, the draft is there. They're going for the strat. They left that one top right altar for, I think it was like over 6 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Level 10 was pretty much on the table for both teams at that point when it was finally collected. Do you like that idea for a strat to just kind of stall it out? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, anytime that you can bait or wait on a map objective to be able to gain a power spike elsewhere is a top-tier strategy. Anything I think that shows, I mean, a solid difference between good and great teams, understanding what you can gain in this situation versus the next. That being said, obviously, the patience maybe isn't going to be the best interest with that style of strategy. It just is. Like I said, that's why I was so afraid of the Anubara, or the Asmodan. I think actually Asmo on that map has like a spot, and it just was not into that composition. There was no fight they could take that they had a chance in.
Especially once Temporal Loop came in. That's not the normal heroic ability that comes in at level 8 instead. And so the minute they had that, Fnatic went in and were able to find somebody, and there was barely cleanse there. They were level 8, Tempo Storm, but utilizing that, figuring that out for Fnatic was the beginning of the end, it felt like.
And I mean, Fnatic's composition was also brilliant in the fact that you take the Varian, you bait the cleanse, and that's a free kill. Pick a hero. That was it. That was it. That was all they had to do the entire game. And it was just like every situation, they didn't have the cleanse for it. And then at that point, there was one huge misplay, which single-handedly set Tempo so far behind, the strategy had no opportunity to come back. And they all started on the bottom bell tower. They went for the dive. He went for the Void Prison only on the bell tower, so then timeout would technically drop. Void would be totally fine. The turrets wouldn't be shooting, and they'd get the kill finally on Chromie. Turns out, stopped Chromie, which means Chromie just only got 5 free seconds of still being invulnerable.
Well, I mean, so far in this tournament, we've seen 3 games from Fnatic, all versus NA. All 3 NA games were kind of weird strats, specifically constructed to try to throw off Fnatic. We're going to get ready for the second game of the series to see if Tempo's going to stay standard or do another weird targeted strat.
The pathetic wretches of this new realm already fear me. They should. So many souls for me to harvest. And I shall begin with theirs. This nexus, all its power, it will be mine! Those who oppose me invite their own demise. If the 2 of us have learned anything fighting fools like these before, it's that when we work as one, none can stand against us. We are Shogun! We will rule the Nexus! Or destroy it!